Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to a Tuesday night, a Taco Tuesday edition of Cup of Ray. Got a special guest in here tonight. I'm so glad this cat's joining me. It's a state of the state Cup of Ray, if you will, from a football standpoint. I got my Dolphins insider, my Dolphins guy, good friend of mine, Richard Rock, the Rock, in here tonight. It's a Cup of Ray on a Tuesday night. I hope you guys got something to talk about. There's a couple of things we can mention, like Rob Gronkowski verifies that no, he's not coming back for any way, shape, or form. Deshaun Watson, we were supposed to get those briefs handed down by the retired federal judge today. Didn't hear anything about that. A final decision is expected sometime in August. But please interact with the show and give your comments. And do me a favor, it's live on my YouTube channel for the very first time. Share the show. I appreciate you. It's a Cup of Ray here on a Tuesday night on Bucs Report. Hey everybody, welcome back again to a Tuesday night Cup of Ray. I'm going to bring this cat right in here because I've been excited to sign with this guy. I was excited to talk. I was to sign with this guy. I've been excited to talk with this guy since the Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, went to Miami. Welcome to the show here, a Cup of Ray on a Tuesday night. My friend Richard Rock. Rick, how are how are you tonight? Rick Rock. Hey, you still play for the Osceola Warriors? I'm kidding. Former Seminole Warhawk defensive end. Yeah. I deserve all the. And then tell a story. For anyone who's watching for the first time, had a chance to put your college tapes together. Some of all the great footage of you locking it down at defensive end for the Warhawks back in the day. And you're still waiting for a copy of that, aren't you?
Man, you gave me 2 copies, and I lost both.
Well, I told you to make copies to send them out. You were sending them out to the colleges, and you had 2 copies for yourself, and you lost them both. I swear, Rock, I'm gonna find him one of these days. It's here somewhere in the vault here at Footage Bound Productions, and we're gonna find it and we're gonna get it over to you, brother.
Yeah, it was amazing, like what you put together. One went to a college, and one I gave to my high school coach to look at. And
yes,
like, oh, I lost it. I'm like, I need that.
We're gonna get it for you, I promise.
Yeah, thank you.
Or you may find it, but do me a favor. I kind of teased it right there at the beginning. What were you doing? There was no word beforehand. I don't think there were even whispers that the cheetah Tyreek Hill was going back and playing to the Miami Dolphins. Where were you when that happens? And what does Dolphin fan think when they give Tua a tool like the cheetah and the offense, the new coach this year? What's the coach's name again? I constantly forget the guys.
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator for the 49ers. What's Dolphin fan? What's Rock think when he hears that Cheetah is coming to Miami?
Is this real?
Right?
Is he actually coming to the Dolphins?
Yes.
I had to double check there for a second. I'm like, no, they're just playing with me. We're not really getting Tyreek Hill. We just signed our offensive tackle. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden I see a trade, Tyreek Hill. I'm like, okay, they're going all in. Okay, this is the year for Tua to make or break. And I know people can say, oh, it's only his 3rd year, but no, it's his time. He's got all the weapons now. He's got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Carson Edwards, the guy from San Francisco. I'm having a brain fart right now. He's one of the fastest. Mostert.
Debo Samuel. Mostert. I'm kidding. Debo Samuel. No, and I'll tell you what. a lot of people weren't sold on Tua, and I don't get it. And here's the thing, Rock. I'm listening tonight. I got to throw some shout outs to Chris Mathis, him and
Mm-hmm.
his brother Spencer on the Chris Mathis underscore pod. If you're not following this podcast for these two characters, of course, he's the producer of the Pat and Aaron Show, locking it day 5 days a week there at 95.3 WDAE. But they were talking, they had a show. It was great 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to remind you again later, guys and girls, it was called The Misfits. And it basically just touched, they cover all sports, but they were touching all the quarterback movement. This was pre-Baker signing, and I want to get your opinion on that with the Carolina Panthers as
Of
well.
course.
But all the movement around, and I get this because all the salaries are so high. The salary cap continues to go up, making a rebound from COVID 2020, if you will, and how it went down. But everything's, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me now? And there's so many quarterbacks. I'm not going to make the argument yet for Sam Darnold and why I think that cat starting week 1 against the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield's old team. I'll ask you about that. But Tua came out of Alabama with the hip issue. We knew that this kid, not a project, but we knew he was going to take a minute. And he's done nothing but really start to show his thing. Even last offseason, they're giving him grief like he was throwing it in a hurricane down there. And everyone's looking for a fault. I think this kid's going to have it this year, especially with the new coach. And that, tell me about the receiving core you got down there now.
Speed.
Yes.
Nothing but speed.
Yes.
Even our new rookie from Texas Tech, and the reason we got him was mostly because of Wes Welker's our receivers coach now, back in Miami.
Right.
It's going to be geared towards Tua, what he did in Alabama. A lot of the times what he would do, you get the short slants and just give it to his guys, and they do all the work. It's going to be the same thing here where he's going to give it to Tyreek Hill. You're going to see a lot of end arounds. You're going to see misdirection, and players aren't going to know where the ball's going to. And it's dangerous because you have one of the top receivers in the league, or two of the fastest receivers in the league right now, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Jalen Waddle.
Who's going to cover? Who are you going to cover? And then you got Carson Edwards and Mostert possibly out there as well, where they can do end arounds too. They could probably do it 2 to 3 times, and good luck. Good luck.
And tell me about that defense. Now, Brian Flores, you and I have had this. We talked about this last time you joined me here on Cup Array. I was down there at the Gator or Krabby's on the Pass. The Brian Flores and what they were doing with this defense, and now you bring in Daniels in this offense and bury the lead. You guys still have an up-and-coming defense. Count me. We talk about divisions like the AFC West and the teams, the other divisions that are getting stronger. And we talk about, the Buffalo Bills, they're the anointed ones to make it. And maybe they are. Maybe it's their time. Maybe, Sean McDermott has them enough in the right direction. But as far as the Jets, and who knows what's going on with Zach Wilson's and what best friend of his mom he's with this week. That was crazy, the news this week. I'm sure you heard about that. I don't want to get too needy here on an early Tuesday night, but
especially in New York media, that thing's going to be a wildfire. Good luck. Zach Wilson's never getting around that.
It's his ex-girlfriend. The kid's got an arm. But the thing about it is here's the thing, and it's not just the mentality of a Tua Tagovailoa. Give me the last name.
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa. Not just the mentality coming from the Alabama program, the gamer that he is, but he is head and shoulders what's coming out is more mature. I'll tell you what, he's a hell of a lot more mature than a Baker Mayfield, who's now in his 4th year, going into his 5th year in the NFL. And that's the problem I have with Baker Mayfield going down to the Carolina Panthers. And he's got 5.5 minutes to learn, Ben McAdoo's the offensive coordinator there under Matt Rule. And Sam Darnold's the incumbent. I could get into a debate about why Sam Darnold doesn't have the tools. And people like, again, Chris and his brother Spencer on the Chris Thomas podcast, Chris Mathis, was comparing to the fact that, they mentioned Josh Rosen. I don't think it's the same deal, although both went through head coaches, different teams. But I think Sam Darnold, he was showing improvement. They were 3-0 last year. He took them to a win over the New Orleans Saints in their own division. Then they lose to the Steelers. They have a falling off. But Tua has a lot more of a mature mentality. And, we've never seen it where in Miami they expect good football because of, Bob Greasy, or because of the years of experience, Dan Marino, and all of the 72 championship team and all. They're not newcomers to having success in football, but there was more the national media that was putting that spotlight on Tua, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the spin. Tua is a lightning rod. He's a lightning rod because he was one of the top quarterbacks in that class. He's a lightning rod because he's going against 2 other great quarterbacks in Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. And look, Joe Burrow in his second season takes him to a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert being like almost like kind of like Dan Marino and breaking records all over the place, slinging it. But like you said, it's a what have you done for me lately? And Tua came off a major injury. Okay, so he had to get his way back and he had to get back into shape. His second season, his first season, give it a watch. He shouldn't really have started. In all honesty, he should have never started.
Not at all.
I was not all about him starting, but I think pressure and Flores just whatever. I mean, it was just a dumpster fire. So he started, and it actually broke up the locker room because everybody loved our boy Ryan Fitzpatrick. Buccaneer fans, you know you love him too, and I loved him too. Yeah,
a little bit. Guy's a gamer. I mean, he played for 72 and a half teams. He played till he was in his 80s, but he's got that Harvard mentality, and he does have a way of growing on your skin. He knows how to play the social game, and of course, you saw me after he starts the 2018 season off. The first 3 games, he puts a pair of shoes in the Canton there in the Hall of Fame, and he shows up in the locker room with the bling and everything, and he's
Deshaun Jackson's shirt on.
And the gold and the necklaces. So he knows how to play that game. But and of course, we find out on the back end that maybe the Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins, he had other plans. He wanted to, Tua maybe wasn't his guy all along. And then, of course, he was possibly trying to get Tom Brady down there. And that's some of the other things. I can only imagine if it took the public a while to get this story out there, whether it's true or not. I haven't asked. I think you and I have talked about that. But do you think there was a lot of where there's smoke, there's fire with the whole thing about the boat in the marina and Flores went down and Brady was on the boat ready to be the anointed one and then Flores walks away?
There's probably 2 truths. There's probably 2 sides of the story and the truth.
Right.
Flores, it's hard for me to see that Flores walks away from Tom Brady. That's the guy he, coached with.
In New England, yes.
In New England. And I think, he's trying to win a case or whatever it may be. But to me personally, as a football organization, your quarterback that you drafted isn't doing well. So why wouldn't you, turn over as many stones as possible? Look at the 2 quarterbacks that we haven't talked about the second yet, but Tom Brady and then Deshaun Watson. I know a lot of things are going on with Deshaun Watson. Maybe they should have handled it differently.
Yes.
You're talking about 2 quarterbacks that are elite in the league. Why wouldn't you take a look at these guys? And they can say, well, that's supposed to be your franchise guy. Yeah, but we're talking about Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson here. And Tua hasn't done anything yet. So if you have a chance to get one or the other, and then on top of the Tom Brady thing, you have a chance to get Sean Payton as well.
No, you're the first person I've heard say that, Rock. And you and I have talked about this a couple times. Truth to bury the lead. We work together. I see you quite a bit, but you're also a good friend. But we've talked about this, and I've never really gotten that angle. But you're right, because the media was spinning it, or maybe it was just Mike Florio spinning it, that Brady got to the parking lot. Flores got to the parking lot. Brady's on the boat, and Flores runs away like a young girl on prom night who was, possibly or like a masseuse who worked for Deshaun Watson. Sorry. But, the thing about it is that these 2 had history going back to New England. And really, at the end of the day, it's not that it would have been Flores with a statement about young Tua or the success he hasn't had yet. But why would Flores run away? If Stephen Ross, the owner, is suggesting this, and it's your job. And Flores is a defensive-minded coach. Why would you run away from Tom Brady? I think that just served Mike Florio's narrative, so he can always be poo-pooing on Tom Brady.
Yeah, again, he's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. If you have a chance, whether 1-2 seasons, he's going to bring a different mentality to your organization. Right. Look what he did for the Bucs, or is doing for the Bucs right now. You guys won a Super Bowl the first year. That's ridiculous. And in the second year, honestly, you were a throw away from going back. That's kind of, I still blame your defensive coordinator on that. That's kind of ridiculous that Todd Bowles
goes to a zero blitz and doesn't cover. Yeah, you leave a wide. The guy's been burning you. I mean, the guy literally won the Super Bowl MVP, and you're not going to cover him on a deep pass. And of all the people to not cover, why wouldn't you be covering him on that pass?
And I'm going to say this right now: the Bucs would have won the Super Bowl. Like either NFC would have won the Super Bowl. I don't care what Cincinnati would have brought to the table. Bucs would have won too.
Wow. Let me ask you this. Did you find it obviously it's strange. Everyone's talked about, oh, the Bucs were the first team to host the Super Bowl and then win it. And it just so happens, of course, the Buccaneers, the reason why the Glaziers in Tampa Bay got Super Bowl 55 is because SoFi out there in California wasn't going to be done in time, that they
Mhm.
could go through all the tests and make sure everything's working. So they pushed it back a year. Tampa Bay gets the Super Bowl. Who knew
Mhm.
about a pandemic that was coming? The Bucs make it and win it. Didn't you find I'm not trying to lay out the conspiracy, but didn't you find it awfully convenient that once the Bucs crossed that bridge and became the first home team to host a Super Bowl and win it, it just so happened that the $5 billion Hollywood Park and SoFi Stadium, where the NFL Network is now stationed, and all the beautiful, all the love that's going on out there, the Frisco vibes from the '60s, hippie piece, all of a sudden they get to host that game.
Mhm.
Now, let me ask you this: when Tom Brady, hey brother, and let me ask you this. First of all, you just recovered from some surgery. That was
Yeah,
something. That was some injuries related to your football days too, wasn't it?
correct. Yes.
Okay, and I
Go
don't want
ahead.
to share too much here due to HIPAA laws. I don't want to feel I crossed the barrier, but I wanted to share that because I'm leading into another question. Rob Gronkowski, he retires from the NFL in 2019, comes back, gets a run, becomes just him and Brady continue to build that history. We hear this week, he can't. He was at a function, and there's a reporter from ESPN had asked him. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear the video today about
No,
that?
I haven't yet. No.
Caught it on the Pat. I caught it on again. Pat and Aaron locking it down to the Pat and Aaron show from 12 to 3 there on 95.3 WDAE, and Pat Donovan found that he had a Twitter with and of course later on it ran on Bucks Report, which is actually where I read it first.
Mhm.
And it was a reporter who caught him at a function. He basically put asks very nice questions about Rob Gronkowski. If Tom makes the call, if he blows into the shell, do you come running back? Rob Gronkowski's finished. Now, never say never, because again, it could be 6 months from now. He stayed in shape. Where the Bucks are Chris Mathis posed on his
Mhm.
podcast. The Bucks are, or no, Spencer. The Bucks are 11-6. They're heading to the playoffs. Cam Brate's a good. And then of course we got Kate Otten, and we've got the O'Keefe, the two rookie tight ends. They're doing okay, but yet Gronk can step right in here. He's got that timing, but he's got injuries. That back made him retire, and you just got over that. I'll go ahead and say it. It was back surgery, and I'm
It
glad
was
to see
back
you came
surgery.
through it, brother. Took you a while, but that's not nothing to mess with, though, is it?
No, I had some ups and downs, and I'm sure he's got it even worse.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
probably multiple parts of his spine that's all jacked up. You got to think of how many hits he's taken, how big he is, how much pressure that's on his body. He's 6'6", so and all the weight he's put on, how many people have hit him hard, like
Oh,
that. That to
going
me,
up and then come
up,
in.
yeah, and
And
getting
he,
knocked out like through his hips or wherever it may have been, and that just the shock of hitting the ground the way he does.
yes.
It's probably taken a toll. The man has millions upon millions of dollars.
He's the way he sells it. He's never spent a dime. He's made everything he's
Yeah.
spent was on endorsements. So he's been pocketing those checks he's been getting for the 10 years. So I mean, he's not doing too bad.
He has nothing else to prove
Right.
unless he's doing what I think Namakon Sue is doing too. It's where you're waiting until training camp's over with. You've already done it. You don't need to do it again. And they sign him on later on.
Does that serve? Does that? Because everybody's about a brand these days. Everything's a brand. I mean, even if
Mhm.
you're a third string quarterback, and by the way, the Rays game's on and back. I mean, give it a shout now to it's a commercial right now for Winters and Yonker. Shout out to Winters and Yonker, sponsor here of Cup of Ray on a Tuesday night. But the Rays beat the Red Sox 10-5 last night. One of the very few series this year where the Rays get that home opener, that first game of the homestand, or the first game of a series. They're down 2-0, I think, right now still. But you're talking about everyone's got a brand these days, third string, fourth string quarterback, anyone on a team, anyone, USFL, XFL. And I'm thinking today that, of course, he's saying all the right things. I think that he's true. I think he wants to do the Gronk cruises again. He has a draft party in Vegas, but
Mhm.
it's not going to hurt his brand if the cat just waits until October or November
Yeah.
or after training camp. It's not that we're going to call him out and call him, anything other than just someone who was retired. They came back, and I don't think football fans from any football fans in the world would be disappointed in a Gronkowski return at any time.
I don't think many people were upset when Tom Brady came back out of retirement. So
No, they weren't.
I think the same goes with Gronkowski. It doesn't matter. He could come back for the playoffs. Look what Adam Marcelletta did. He came out of
Oh,
retirement, went to the
loved it.
playoffs, did what he played injured, and won them a Super Bowl. So
significant time. I mean, he was supposed to just be a fill-in
yeah.
third piece, but for the Los Angeles, the champion, world champion, the defending world champion,
Mhm.
whatever, Los Angeles Rams, got the big time. Now, let me ask you this: going back, I did ask you because as a defensive end, now of course,
Mhm.
Darren Donald's an interior defensive lineman, and I think we'd all like not just Bucs fans, but football fans. We're always looking, oh, that was a foul, that was a foul, and we talk about how these days in the NFL, it's chippy choppy. Oh, that was whatever. They're trying to protect players. That Aaron Donald helmet to Tom Brady's chin, the blood wasn't obvious at first, but it was pretty obvious the way he went in there. Do you think because he was up for NFL Player of the Year or former Defensive Player of the Year, and it is the Aaron Donald, he got the call on that, or especially did Tom Brady deserve the personal foul for going back at the referee on that?
I think it's a little bit both. You have two MVPs on two sides.
Oh,
What are they saying to the refs at the time?
mm,
What are they? How are they acting throughout the game? Is Tom
right.
Brady being a little too much?
Hmm.
Has Aaron Donald been kind of like, yeah, okay, thank you for that call, being a little bit nicer? Um, I think it's also, human for refs to decide, I guess sometimes pick or choose which side they want to go. It really helps to the perception. Depends on where the ref is. What did they decide in that instant happened? Because a lot of times you see judgment calls and it all
Yes.
depends on the umpire, on what
Yes.
they decide. So I think it depended on certain circumstances on both sides, how Aaron Donald was, how Tom Brady was. Tom Brady gets away with a lot of
He
crap.
does, and he did go after the referee there. I'm trying to remember. It's Sean Hockley, right? Ed
Yeah.
Hockley's son. He gave
So,
him some lip on that play.
because probably he's so used to getting the call that he's
Yes.
like, "What? I'm not getting it right this second." And Sean Hockley is like, "No, not this time, guy."
What? It's not fourth down. It's fourth
No, it
down, right?
wasn't.
Thanks back to Chicago to 2020. But no, that's a great. That's why you and I had to have this little Tuesday night Taco
Mhm.
Tuesday edition because again, you're bringing it as a player, but
Yep.
you see things even better than I see things. But we see things similarly because kind of thought the same thing. If Tom doesn't flap his jaws there, he doesn't get the 15-yard personal foul, obviously. But even though it's like in hockey when there's a penalty, but then the hockey player they're waiting for like 3 minutes for there to be blood. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. And Tom actually, I think at some point Tom just pinched his lip enough that he got some blood come to the surface, and he's like, "Hey, I got blood." And Sean Hockley is like, "I don't care if you got blood," and of course he goes off. Tell me about the Dolphins schedule in 2022 because really I'm excited. The Jacksonville Jaguars too. We're going to have a state of the entire state one of these days, and I got a Jacksonville Jaguars guy coming in here, or maybe a girl. But tell me about the Dolphins schedule in 2022 because I don't know a whole lot about other than the division.
It's going to be a tough 4 games. I believe we play New England, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and I want to say the Chargers.
What? So you guys, your first 4 games are literally almost as hard as the Bucs, who start off in Dallas, go to New Orleans, come home against the
Yep.
Packers, and then the Chiefs in Week 4.
Yep, it is going to be a
Wow.
tough 4 games. I could be wrong, like I said, but I know New England's the first game.
Yes,
Um,
that's a tough
so
one.
is it though?
Spoken like a true Mac Jones and Bill Belichick fan.
I'm just going to say this right now. Tua is 3-0 against New England. He hasn't lost yet to New England. So,
I love it.
or
I
4
love
0.
it.
We are 4-0. So he hasn't lost yet. So everybody's
Who's
like,
it?
oh, when Tua beats New England, that's when we'll talk. I'm like, he's already beaten New England. So what are you talking
He's
about?
had their number. I mean,
Yeah.
the Dolphins and Brian, that was one of the biggest shockers. Everybody moves on, and I'm excited for the new coach. I'm excited to see an offense down there
Mhm.
because they've already got a head start with that defense, almost similar to the 2020 Buccaneers. I mean, Mike Smith, that dumpster fire of a defensive coordinator, and Dirk Cotter. If the one thing Jason Light was doing was he was putting pieces in place for this team. Of course, he did it on the offensive side as well. And then you bring in Todd Bowles under Bruce Arians, the defense was locking it in 2019,
Yep.
but they were really making up for the 30 plus or 30 interceptions Jameis was throwing. So they're like, hey, give us a break. Then we get an offense. I think the Dolphins are, and I'm not calling them Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to go out to Arizona in 57, but they've already got a great defense to start. And now you got these weapons for Tua and Coach Daniels, and it's like, wow.
It's going to take time. It's going to take time for us to get going on
Okay.
offense. Our defense, Josh Boyer, is still our defensive coordinator. So I think we'll be fine.
Consistency.
But yeah, he's still the same. now whether you think Brian Flores called the plays or Josh Boyer, it doesn't matter. You still have Josh Boyer as our defensive coordinator, same guy that helped our defense come back from dismal beginning last year to what it was.
Yes.
Watch out for our defensive end, Jalen Phillips.
Oh, yes. He's a
Second year.
former Miami player, right?
Yes, and he's gained weight, and he's been
Are you
lighting
kidding
it
me?
up. Right, he's been lighting it up in
Dude,
training.
there were some people saying, because he had the injuries and at the U, or had an injury late, but there were people saying he'd have been, if not top 5 for sure. Miami picks him up in what, the middle of? They picked him up as part of that package of trades from the Texans, right? Or no, it was their own trade.
Either one, but it was in the middle of the first round that we got.
They got a steal in that cat. He's put some weight on. He's a monster, and he's got that attitude.
He's been killing it on the pads, like those little dummies that you push up, like just ripping them apart. And I'm excited to see him. And I believe not Okafor, our other defensive end. I can't think of his name for the life of me right now.
That's okay.
We have him at the bookend again, and then we got our corners back and the safeties. Our safeties, Javon Holland, almost rookie of the year. He's going to be ridiculous.
How do you guys keep doing this? You and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Minkah Fitzpatrick goes to Pittsburgh. He just signed what, a $73 gazillion deal, but somehow you guys just keep putting. There's something in the water down there in the Everglades or something, because you guys just continue to put out some fantastic secondary players.
Chris Greer, he's a good drafter. You can say it happened. You know, he didn't pick the players, but he did for the most part. It's just how they draft with him, and the help with some of the coaches. Brian Flores helped out a little bit in that first draft. I can't deny that, because we got that big boy, not Jalen Phillips, the big boy in the middle from Alabama. Huge.
Oh, the big linebacker.
Can't remember his name.
That's
bad
okay.
as a Dolphin fan.
No, it's big brother. Hey, but go ahead. Let me wax poetic on this.
Yeah.
Tell me, you and I are going to be working on something, and I'm just jumping all over the place, but August 6th, we're working on something. Tell me about this, that you've reached out, and I get to be a part of this Teamworks, and tell me what we got going on August 6th and what we're recognizing.
Yeah, we're recognizing the preteens and teens in our community within the city. We have plenty of volunteers that have given back within our city, either picking up trash within the parks, giving food to the homeless, collecting cans and dry foods during Thanksgiving break or during the Thanksgiving holiday, and donating it to 5 pantries within our city, giving them probably over 100 pounds each, if not more, at each site. It was good this year. We go around and we helped USPCS, or United Postal Service. I know it's your rival, but
no, it's okay. Okay, USP. They're like the little cousin, you know. He's gonna get his run, but it's it's a little cousin.
But we help them out with their own food drive as well, and we do a lot. We also help out at rec centers throughout the summer. So this banquet is to kind of recognize the summer junior staff, the year-round volunteers.
Yes.
And kind of say thank you. We're also recognizing our past president this year, and giving them the first annual Spotlight Award for their continuous service. They've been out of Teamworks for, I believe, 2 to 3 years, but they are still helping out. So we're going to recognize that person as well.
I'm laughing because, it truly takes a village. And you and I, you'll call me sometimes during the day, and I don't know how you do it, brother. You're like that guy that's got the 4 sticks and the spinning plates in the air. By the way, this is on my own YouTube page. This is the first time on TB Ray Kennedy, my YouTube page. So if you're catching this show tonight, follow, because we got all kinds of exciting things planned for you leading up to camp, through camp, to the preseason, into the season. And you're only going to get notified if you're following me on my YouTube page. Be my first follower, and I'll buy you a beer. But yeah,
I'm going to be your first follower.
Oh, brother, then you and I can have that beer and we can talk some more football. But how many kids? I see these kids, and we're getting a little older. I'm a lot older than you, brother. But I see these kids. They go from volunteers or assistants and rec assistants, then they become employees. They start working for the city. And not only that, you're taking these kids. They got all this angst and all this energy, and we're putting it to great use to help the community. And that's why when you reached out and you're like, hey, we're having this banquet. Would you like to be involved? Bury the lead. I do a little DJ work on the side, but it's not going to require much, just kind of helping you out with everything, which brother, I'm always there. I'm like 100%, 7 days a week and twice on banquet day. So I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for sharing that with me. So let's talk about Deshaun Watson. everybody's like, "Oh, it's a full season." Well, he already fought. And all the the Cleveland Browns, they give him the most guaranteed money ever, and $250 million for five whatever. But they give him his salary this year is $17 and a pound of famous Jameis crab legs because he doesn't want to lose any of that money for whatever length of suspension he has. The judge is supposed to release the briefs. We should have an answer by August. Everybody's like, "Well, it should be a year. It should be more for what he did." He's got a problem, and you and I have talked about this. I've said I need to see if he can't come out and just say, look, I did this. He can at least take some of that $250 million, that guaranteed money he got, and at least put it out there for sexual or domestic abuse hotlines to help people out, people that are actually going through it, even if you can't admit it yourself. He also needs to get help because Lord knows the kid has a problem. He does. There's no happy endings when you're trying to, and you're doing this over and over and over and over again. The NFL probably realizes that, but what length of suspension as we get closer in everybody's way? They got Kareem Hunt. They got, Chubbs. They got a great defense. Stefanski's got a team there. The NFL and legalized gambling and schedules, odds makers, everybody, you got to be thinking they don't want Deshaun out entire year, but do you see it a year? Do you see it less than a year? What do you see, Rob?
Has anything been proven yet is my question. I'm not saying it hasn't happened.
Right.
But to me, it's hard to punish somebody when nothing's happened in court yet. And there's no video on anything that at least I've seen, like Ray Rice. That was obvious. We saw it happen. So, of course, he's done.
Right.
I'm sure something did happen, but if we're going by the court of law, nothing has been proven. So why are you going to suspend somebody if nothing has come of it yet?
Right. And I'm sorry, go ahead. I keep cutting you off, brother.
No, it's okay. It's all these allegations are coming up. Yes, I see that. But nothing has been proven. Nothing has stuck in court yet. So why are you going to punish this person? I would say you punish them once it's been settled out of court or in court, whatever happens. It needs to be settled first before you punish somebody. And then if nothing comes of it and you punish somebody, now it's going to be even longer because you know for a fact that John Watson is going to be like, look, nothing come of this. And you suspended me for all these games? Get out of here.
Yes. Oh, especially it come up 3 years down the road, you find out that maybe one of the because it only was 4 cases the judge looked at. It wasn't anything more than that. But like you said, nothing. There's no charges. There's no grand jury indictment.
No.
Doesn't make him innocent, but there was no grand jury indictment. Read a great article today on NSI.com, but I'll go there another time. Yeah. But that's why I go toward, because he was going to follow him wherever he goes. It's always going to be there. You can see them going into Pittsburgh in November, playoff atmosphere, although I'm not sure with Pittsburgh and a rookie quarterback or Mitch Trubisky and, the Cleveland Browns. But you go in there and you're going to have the signs. It's going to say, hey, no happy ending for you, Deshaun, or hey, whatever. And I get that. It's always going to be there. But right now, especially before the judge comes out with the briefs, before the NFL hands, because if the judge gives him 5 minutes in a corner, gives him 5 minutes of timeout, the NFL has the right to appeal to Goodell to say we want a full year, and then it's up to Goodell or a representative that he appoints to really lay down the final judgment. But what a great opportunity for him to win the court of public opinion right before all this comes out. Yep. To say, look, I'm going to donate $10 million, $5 million. Look, I didn't do this. I'm not guilty of what they say. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. But I'm going to give this. I want to do commercial. I want to help out because there are girls, men, people that have going through or in situations like this, sexually abused or going through domestic violence or domestic violence month. We celebrated it, not celebrated. We recognized in March. Yeah. What a great time for him to win the court of public opinion and do that. But I don't see him doing that. It seems like for him and his camp, it's just more important, especially when he signs the contract again, where he gets paid $15 in 2022 and then the rest of it's backloaded. It's almost like he's saying, look, not only am I not guilty, but I'm not going to take any of the blame for this. Well, you all are just crazy. Leave me alone. Do you agree with that? Or do you also think that it would be a good opportunity for him to donate money or at least try to not to admit guilt, but to say, look, there are people in real life situations that could use this resources. I want to help out here.
No, I think he can do something. I mean, maybe in his mind, I didn't do anything wrong. Right. But in the public opinion, you're a public figure and it only takes one person to say something. You have all these torches against you. Whether you did it or not, you have the money to give back. And you know what? You're, like you said, this is an awareness that you can give money to, and you have the money. If you even more than 10 million, You can do 25. That man's getting like over 200 and something $1 million.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
change to him.
and he's gonna
So
ball. The guy's gonna
yeah,
ball. He's still a phenomenal. So he's gonna make up the back. If he takes 10 million or 20 million and whatever now in the front end and does this and puts it again, we're not talking about this is just it's gratuitous. He's just
mhm,
throwing any money. He's dropping it into a Santa's hat on a corner with somebody who's
mhm,
busking. It's the holidays, but actually putting money to good use on the back end. What it
yeah,
can possibly mean for future endorsements because he's able to put the public opinion on his side now, saying, you know what, I don't know, because he was never convicted in a court of law, but he did this for that. He put
yeah,
light on this. So yeah, that's why. And of course, for me, just as a father of two girls and a husband of a great wife, and you yourself being a respectful person that you are, and beautiful family you have, a daughter and your two daughters. But what I'm saying is that would go a long way towards me at least going, well, we were never going to know for sure what happened in a 4-star hotel out in Houston, but he did this. It makes me at least feel like there's something good's happening of this. Let's move on.
yeah. I agree with you because I think a little bit too comes where he's a little bit too cocky. I guess it might come off where he's like, you know what? If I do this, that makes me say that I'm wrong. No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I? I'm not giving them anything. And
Right.
really, and that's maybe why he's turning into a villain. That he's in his own world, and maybe people around him telling him, yeah, you did nothing wrong. You did it. Don't give him anything. Like if you do give him anything, that means you're saying that you're wrong. But
It's
like
silly.
you said,
Yeah.
it's like take a second, get out of your little world, and say, you know what? You're right. Let me give 20 million. I'm going to give back to this awareness, and I'm going to do more for them, and I'm going to go seek help. And
Ooh, that would
let's
mean a
be done with this.
lot.
We're going to be done with this and go forward. But he doesn't want to do that. So we have
He
stories.
doesn't. So
Nope.
how long is the suspension? I said this 4 months ago. I said he doesn't. I think the NFL it ends up. I didn't know this is even before they appointed
Mhm.
the retired judge. I said they give him 8 games. He comes back in week 9 or 10, where depending on when their bye week is. And the NFL is they're not trying to say it's all about winning, but you know as well as I do, Rock. At the end of the day, it's all about money and winning,
Yep.
right? Or legalized gambling. I said this the other night. You can imagine the moment Deshaun Watson, that first preseason game he plays in, there's going to be odds on the number of completions, number of attempts, number of rushing yards, number of touchdowns. Is he play with an attitude? Does he have a chip on his shoulder? I mean and that's where everything's going these days is the lines, in-game gambling and stuff like that. But I said that they get to the 8 game mark, and the NFL is pretty much like, well, if you guys are 4-4, you can still make a run at the playoffs. You'll have the back end 9 games to play, whatever. And if you're already in the tank because you're 2-6 or 0-8, because Cody or because of Brissett being your quarterback, that's just the way that cookie crumbles. And I
Yep.
think that Haslam and the Browns would probably be quite content with that they have a chance to get to the what used to be the mid-season point and still have that quarterback that they spent so much money on for the back season.
I, I agree with you, but I think about 4 to 6 games, honestly.
Ooh, that's even less, but yeah, it's starting
Yeah.
to look like that, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's nothing coming of it right now,
Right.
and in the court system, man, it takes forever. Look, we're already over a year and still talking about this, and it's still going to get dragged on. So I think it's going to be like 4 to 6 games, and depending on if he comes out innocent with it, he'll probably try to get some money out of coming back from him or something. If I were him, I would just take it and just be
Yeah.
done with it. But he might fight it.
You know what's crazy is that if he's 4 games, which again, nothing. Of course, there's video evidence on what Alvin Kamara did at the Pro Bowl with the kicking the guy and everything. I haven't seen the video, but I've heard it exists. That's weird to think that after a 2 years saga in the Houston Texans and they trade him to Cleveland because Cleveland didn't. I don't know how they could look at a lot of their fan base that were offended by the signing. Of course, it was all the people that came out and said, we're offended that you signed Deshaun Watson. We're not going to follow you anymore. And it's like, okay, we'll see you in September when the Browns are. I'm not saying people don't stand by their principles, but in this day and age, where people's attention span, wait, what was I talking about? I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But the thing is that it's weird to think that Deshaun Watson might actually end up serving a suspension similar along the lines to what an Alvin Kamara might do for what might serve for what he committed out there at the Pro Bowl.
yeah, it could be a possibility.
Wow.
I think when people start thinking they put these players on a pedestal too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you would say that these people are modern day NFL gladiators. They're getting their heads knocked in a lot. They're not the most stable in the world. It's a fast sport, and they're getting paid millions upon millions of dollars, and they're not seeing repercussions from the actions that they do.
Wow.
Um, you have some of them in the league that aren't like that, but you have a lot that are 20 something year olds that all of a sudden become instant millionaires. And they don't,
Yes.
even though they do have programs from them, there's still 20 something million, something or millions of dollars to this 20-year old, 21-year-old,
Yes.
22-year-old. And now the world is their oyster, and they feel like they can do whatever they want. Look, how can you judge the quarterback when you have Robert Kraft doing something similar in his own little hotel room?
I'm glad you didn't say anything more than that. But yeah, down there in Miami,
Yeah.
or when you've got Rich Dalrymple, boop, key coding into the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader locker room when the men's bathroom was 20 feet further down the hall. You can't tell me why he decided to scan in there when the cheerleaders had just left a photo shoot and they had 30 minutes to get fully dressed to make it to a luncheon they had to be at. And you talk about opportunistic, or you talk about Daniel Snyder. And he says today Congress has accepted his offer to give like a video, whatever, a pre-recorded investor. He's going to do some, if that even ends up happening. I guess he's over in Israel for 2 months, mourning the death of his mom. I guess it was over a year ago, but he steps up and offers to do the video. I said he didn't have to, but yeah, how can you put a player's feet to the fire because of the court of public opinion and how people, but yet your owners, Roger Goodell's bosses, are doing in some cases things that are even seedier and even.
Yeah, so it's very hypocritical of them, the NFL and the Shield, to point the finger at this quarterback
Good point.
when they have three other fingers pointing back at them.
Oh,
You can't do that, and that's probably why also they're taking their time with it too, is because they know they've had other issues and no repercussions from the owner. That's probably why. That could be why Deshaun Watson is saying, "Wait a minute, this just happened with the owner, and yet I'm getting the blame on this." Like, the NFL can be very hypocritical when it wants to be. Like, look what happened to John Gruden.
Oh, forget, and that's again goes back to the Daniel Snyder investigation. There's 650,000 emails, only 655, and only 5,000 get released. But they were the 5,000 that damned John Gruden and got him fired in Oakland. And I've said this before. Even if you're just going along with the joke, if you're laughing at, and then worse yet, you're actually insinuating a homophobic slurs or racial slurs, and you're continuing. I get it. We talk about old school locker rooms and that's the way it used to be. That's not the way it should be. It doesn't make it right. And if they got the evidence, but again, where's the rest of those? Where's the rest of that treasure trove of emails? Because you and I both know, Rock, those emails all go out to, between Bruce Allen and the other 31 owners and their GMs and other owners. And if the NFL were to make all those come to light, the Shield might catch on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shield's going to burn.
Oh yeah. It's like it's modern day gladiators. You think about the old Roman times. You think of those old business, the slave owners of the Roman gladiators.
Yes,
and what they would do in the back end. And it's the same thing. That I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this, you're slave owners. So let's get that straight.
No. Let's clarify that, because I know between you and I, neither of us are anywhere near that kind of person. You know what?
It's back in the day. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. They'd be beating the Christians as they're sending them into the lions, but then they're going out in the back end and they're doing things at night, seedy, and they're like hiding behind religion or what have you. But yeah, people that are. How can you point the fingers, like you said, at Deshaun Watson? But, the NFL, it's like you got the other owners, especially a Daniel Snyder and a Jerry Jones and maybe a Robert Kraft, that are like, hey, we're hiding all of our stuff. Like, let's get John Gruden fired the same week that the oral report came out by the attorney that the Washington football team hired themselves. And they even told her, don't write anything down. We don't want anything written down. Just, investigate for a year. We'll keep putting it in the press that we've got an investigator that we're hiring, and we don't want anything written down. You'll deliver an oral report, Of course, I'm glad it wasn't an oral port in New England because that takes on a whole, or Dallas with Jerry Jones because that takes on a whole other. But we're going to deliver an oral port, nothing written down, and we hire it. They offer to do it again here, and let's get John Gruden fired that same week that oral report came out with 5,000 emails they released. You talk about controlling the spin, and now it's like Deshaun Watson. He was silly enough to have these girls and these masseuses, and in a lot of cases, professional young ladies and masseuses that are really trying to get their hustle on, really trying to make this career. Everybody. It's some. You heard some people, depending on what's on. Oh, he met him on Instagram and flew him in. Easy, slow your roll there. These were actually professionals in a lot of cases. Now, some of them also were hookups, or maybe it was on Tinder and he swiped right and got a date. But we've talked about Deshaun enough. I didn't really want to, because you and I talked about this before. But tell me about Baker Mayfield. Now, I see a kid that he's got an attitude. Turned Kevin Stefanski against him last season. People want to call it a gamer. He's a gamer. I think he is a gamer, but he's short. He's got little hands. He kind of comes from the same mold as a Kyler Murray who played with them under Lincoln Riley.
For Lincoln Riley, yeah.
Right, and kind of develop these quarterbacks. Now, I think that he can really throw the biscuit, but he goes now to Charlotte to play for the Carolina Panthers under Matt Rule, and they didn't give up anything to get him. And they said today it's not his job. It's gonna, and I said this right off the bat. Fritterer or whatever, the GM said it's gonna be a camp battle, which I like. Bring guys in, make it a camp battle. May the best man win. But what are your feelings on Baker Mayfield? Do you think that he's a shoo-in down there for the Carolina Panthers? I mean, because you like him, or do you still think it's gonna be competition?
It's gonna be competition. I think he'll be fine. Like, I think, Sam Darnold has a slight edge on him, but it's still a football terminology. I think if he puts his nose in the books, I think he'll be a competition. And honestly, I know you said Sam Darnold will start Cleveland. How can you not start Sam Darnold against Cleveland?
Wait, you're saying Sam Darnold, or how can you not stand Baker?
That guy, Baker Mayfield. How can you not start Baker Mayfield? They did that against. I'm going to bring up. They did that with Dante Culper against the Dolphins. His only great game was against the Dolphins when I think he played for Oakland at the time. Yes. He played us, and he destroyed us, and he didn't do anything after. But still.
Can I tell you why, though? Here's the thing. Only if you're in the room, right? I always say this with the Buccaneers and Jason Light. I mean, Jason and I, we do lunch every Tuesday. He keeps me filled in. Brady and I, we get together. Him and Giselle and I, we do a threesome every now and then. We do a movie over here at Studio Movie Girl. I have no inside scoop whatsoever. But Sam Darnold, if anything else, he's the underachiever kid that was in New York with a team that just sucked. I mean, really, before Robert Saleh and what they're doing now, they're just now putting it together. They draft Mekhi Becton. They're drafting more offensive line this year. They're starting to put it together. That team sucked when they draft Sam Darnold. There's a reason why you get it picked that high. Then he goes down to the Carolina Panthers. He's got new blood. And he actually started doing well last season, but he still saw ghosts, right? And I don't know how much of that was related to his time in New York, and he didn't have an offensive line, and they were still building a one down there. But the reason why I say that maybe a Baker Mayfield doesn't start week one and they're hosting it there in Carolina against this Cleveland Browns. If Baker doesn't go in there and win that locker room, if Baker walks in there with the attitude that he had in Cleveland when after a big game where there was some bad offensive play calling, Kevin Stefanski missed a quarterback meeting the next day because he was taking care of a major problem with defensive stud Myles Garrett. And Stefanski was doing what he had to do as the head coach. Sometimes you got to put out the fires where you do. He misses this meeting. And Baker Mayfield calls him out in the public, calls him out in the press. You need to be at these meetings. And I'm like, easy now, little hands. Easy now, little chubby. Go mow the lawn and talk to me in 5 minutes, but cool your jets. There's a difference between being a gamer and being an asshole. Pardon my French. And now, if Baker shows up thinking he's the anointed one in Carolina, and it's a close call. It's really close. Remember, Carolina gave up a 5th-round pick, and they're only paying 5 of the kids $15 million because the Cleveland Browns paid $10 million to get him out of town. They drafted him number 1 in 2018. They got to pay $10 million this year, which would be a great story that Cleveland's paying him $500,000 that game to beat them. If Baker doesn't win the hearts of the Carolina Panther locker room, and Sam Darnold is so close because he's got that first full year in there, and he's a prototypical pocket passer, and he's got this offense. They said he looked good in the spring. Then you go into that game against Cleveland. Now, what's going on over in the Cleveland locker room with Kevin Stefanski? There's 53 guys that are going, this idiot just left here. And we remember how much of an a-hole he was. And this guy, nothing for nothing, but he is a complete jerk. And now he's over there and he thinks he's going to come in here and beat us. So you're going to motivate Myles Garrett. You're going to motivate that Cleveland Browns team. But if it's a close call and it's Sam Darnold week 1, Cleveland Browns come running out in the field and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Number 12's under center. Where's Baker? Well, he's not starting this game. He's still learning the offense. You kind of take away that edge. You take away that little chutzpah that the Browns might have to beat their former quarterback. And I only say it only occurs if Baker doesn't win it outright in camp. If Baker goes in there in the next month and really locks it down and learns this offense, and he deserves to be the first one, I'd roll with him every day of the week. I just say if it's a real close call, if it's 50-50, if it's not enough that I feel that if Matt Rule doesn't feel like they've got the upper hand to beat that very talented Cleveland Browns Cleveland Browns team, then man, I don't want to give the Cleveland Browns motivation to be playing against their old quarterback unless he's really going to show. Worst thing can happen for the Carolina Panthers, they go into that game and Baker Mayfield's, craps to bed before halftime, and then Sam Darnold's coming in for the second half because now you gave him the motivation to beat him. You give him the momentum that they did beat him, and now Sam Darnold's got to go in there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed trying to save it. So I don't know. It's interesting how it's going to play out. It really is.
No, I agree with that. You make a good the point there. Like if he goes in there and stinks it up, and actually that might hurt his confidence too. So he just goes in first game. We're talking about Baker here. Goes into this first game and stinks it up for the first half. He's probably like, dang, do I still have it? What's going on with me? Now you're starting to think in your head too much, like, oh, man, like I messed up in Cleveland. I'm here in Carolina. I'm still not what I used to be. And then that hurts his confidence. And you get pissed in the second half. And then here comes Sam Darnold. And it's still not working out. The worst thing that happened for Carolina is that you go through a quarterback turnstile and back and forth. Kind of
Matt
like
Rule's fighting for Matt Rule's fighting for his job. And I'll tell you what, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, or Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter who's under center in Carolina. If Christian McCaffrey's not healthy this year and ready to ball, then they're going to be right back to square one again. They've got an improved defense, but really at the end of the day, they need a running back. They got to make sure that Christian McCaffrey, and they've got a couple of good runners. They got Devonta Freeman, I think, now is backing him up there. And so they've got some running backs in the room.
If I were them, I would trade Christian McCaffrey. Honestly,
if there's no reason,
like get as much as you can for him now, because I don't think he's going to last much longer. He's been taking too many hits.
The Panthers need to get, if they could get Zeke Elliott out of Dallas with the Pollard, the running back there. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and mention, please, the Chris Mathis _pod. If you're not checking, I listen to it UPS now. Mind you, let me explain real quick, Rock, before I get you out of here, and I appreciate you joining me tonight. I listen to music all night. Got my Apple, my earbuds, and I like to listen to music. It flows at night and everything. Lately, I've been listening to more and more podcasts, and I'd heard a couple of the podcasts that Chris and Spencer Mathis do. But I went in there today and I'm like, all right, I'm going to load it. I went through the list and I saw the Misfits, and I saw that, the one from this last week when Baker actually signed on Friday, and I wanted to hear what Chris and Spence had to say. And so I'm really late to the podcast thing, and I'm actually getting ready to start my own podcast too. You will look for that more. If you follow my YouTube channel, you'll also have access to that as well. Rock, you're on there already. You get that beer. But Chris and Spencer, you got to listen to them, Rock. And I'm going to ask you at work next day or two if you had a chance. I'm going to tell you the exact show to listen to. Listen to the Misfits. Not only are they locking it down with the best information, but I'm sitting there at work sorting packages at UPS on the sort aisle, and I'm out loud hysterically laughing. And people are looking at me like, oh, he is old. The old man's lost it. And it's because these cats are so funny. They're not politically correct, but they are. They're not over the top, but they say things they mean, especially Spencer. He's got a great sense of humor. And, they were talking about a couple of things. And they were talking about, Spencer mentions that Ben McAdoo was the coach of the Giants when Baker Mayfield was coming out of college. And they asked Ben McAdoo at the time, would you have drafted, this is long before now, would you have drafted Baker Mayfield? And Ben McAdoo said something, I'm paraphrasing a little, that why? The guy's got short hands, doesn't run very well, doesn't show top doesn't show high football IQ, has a pretty lively arm, but everything about him doesn't makes me wouldn't I wouldn't draft him. I just don't think he has the tools to be a superior quarterback. Whereas a Sam Darnold is a 6'3", got the arm. The Golden Kid came from USC, and and now he's trying to make it his fourth year in the league. Now is second in. But it just so happens that same McAdoo, head coach with the Giants, that said he wouldn't have drafted a Baker Mayfield, is now the offensive coordinator there in Carolina, and now Baker's coming in to play for him. So they're going to get it straight. And I'm good with that. Just like when Clyde Christensen said a couple of months back that when someone asked him about Kyle Trask when Tom Brady comes back, and Clyde Christensen says, well, Kyle Trask he's got a red shirt year. And I'm like, don't tell him he's got it. I want Kyle Trask coming to camp thinking he should beat Tom Brady out for the job. I don't think it's going to happen. But I definitely think that he could come in and give Blaine Gabbert a run if he's got this offense locked down, if he's throwing it sweet. I don't want the kid coming in here thinking, well, I'm going to hold the clipboard, I'm going to run scout team again, and then I'll make everybody orange mimosas while they're out finishing practice every day. I want this kid playing. I think you've got that there in Carolina, especially with the young rookie quarterback Matt Corral from, was it Ole Miss? You got him in there too, so you got a pretty good quarterback room. I think one of those quarterbacks may not be on the team come the start of the season. If another team has an injury, you could unload a Baker Mayfield.
Mhm.
You only gave a 5th-round pick. Or if Darnold's looking that great, you can unload a Sam Darnold, roll with a Matt Corral, and then still look to bring a veteran quarterback in as well.
I have two things to say with what you just said. One thing about what McAdoo said about quarterbacks with small hands and too small and stuff like that.
Right.
Coaches say that all the time.
Right.
If I'm sure coaches said that about Doug Flutie. And look what Doug Flutie did. Not saying Baker Mayfield can or cannot be like that. If he does have a career like that, that's great for him. And I think he could be like that. So that would be my first thing, is that I that's probably his perception. McAdoo is like, I probably wouldn't have, and I like a guy that's 6'6" and can throw the lights out of the ball. So
right,
probably why he wouldn't have picked Baker. But I think Baker is a gamer. So but that's my thing on Baker. My second would be when it comes to your quarterbacks for the Bucs. I really feel like Kyle Trask, correct?
Yeah.
Should be fighting to be the second string. If he doesn't beat Blaine Gabbert, there's an issue. Like Blaine Gabbert shouldn't be anybody's backup, in all honesty, because Blaine Gabbert goes in the game. I'm sorry, you guys are screwed.
No,
I don't care what receiver you have, you still have to throw it. And that man, no, he's hot garbage. I'm sure he's had some good games, but no.
Rocky sound like, I'm sure he's had some good games. He sound like, but
Kyle Trask should be your second stringer, and he should be learning under Tom Brady and watching him more and more and putting in signals, seeing what he's seeing. And I'm sure he does as third string, but he's not as prepared if he weren't the second stringer. It's almost like he's like you said, doing the mimosa. He's like any given Sunday.
He's in there, Jamie
Foxx is sitting like this with like drinking like, oh, I'm in.
And what's funny is, I gotta tell you, you gotta listen to The Athletic. They got a great. I follow Greg Allman of The Athletic, and of course, all the covering the Lightning and the Rays and the Bucs here in the Bay Area. The Athletic, they did this. It's a 5-part podcast or story on. I'm sorry, the quarterback who retired. The quarterback who retired from Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck. Bunch of things about him I did not know, and I'm just going to tell you. Do you ever do podcasts, Rock? You get time, maybe you're working out or walking, or maybe just driving in a car, and you want to. If you have a chance, go to your iPhone, go to Apple Podcasts, and search for Andrew Luck on the Athletic. Great. Just didn't realize. Again, I forgot his father was Oliver Luck, was a quarterback in the league. Andrew lived in England for 10 years. Good story. Andrew, when he had the success his first year in Indianapolis, his kicker was Adam Vinatieri. When Sam Darnold, or when Andrew Luck was 6 years old over in Europe, his father was running the NFL Europe, and took him to a game over there, and I think it was Germany. And Adam Vinatieri was like a 17-year-old kicker for a team over there, just fighting to try to get seen to get back in the NFL. And of course, 15 years later, Vinatieri would be kicking with and of course, Vinatieri, I think, has gone on to now probably himself in put himself right up in the conversation as one of the best kickers in all of the National History Football League.
If not the best.
The best. Yeah. And he did it the right way, climbing up.
Most clutch in Super Bowls.
Talking about clutch in Super Bowl, I'm going to have you on here again. But, the thing is that the Bucs have a kicker from Miami, Borregales. Since you're a Miami guy, you follow the U a little bit more than most people too, right? At all?
Oh yeah, I'm a big U fan.
So Borregales was the kicker coming from Miami U, and kid bought booming legs.
Oh yeah, he can boom it. Oh yeah, he's probably one of the best kickers out there. Like he's gonna be good for you. So hopefully you have your next Grammatica.
Oh, Automatica. I like that. Automatica, Grammatica. We'll have to call him because he's he's going to be in a shark. Because if Ryan Suckup's not here next year, but it's Borregales, and Bucs just saved another $2 million, which may be going toward another positional player should we need another tool or another depth piece. So, but you're saying he's obviously going to be a rookie as far as he was on a team last year, but mostly on a COVID practice team. But he'll be a rookie. But you saw him; he was pretty much nails there at the U there in Miami, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. Anytime we need them, I mean, we needed a kicker a lot because we're not that good last year. Very inconsistent.
So, yeah, you guys are getting there.
Also, you could call him Manu Barrio or something like that for you Glazers with the Manchester United ownership. But I would say, look, I'm going to go back into this, and I just thought about it. I meant to tell you earlier with the tight end thing. Be on the lookout for us maybe doing a trade.
Between the Bucs and Dolphins?
Yeah, because Gesicki is on our franchise tender right now, and they don't know if he fits our system. So I think you and I, or Bucs and Dolphins, would be a good partnership because we need more of a blocking tight end for the system that we run now, and he's more of a flex receiver type-ish tight end than he is anything else. So Tom Brady would fall in love with him.
And so what would you guys give us something on our team that you guys were looking? You guys have depth at receiver. You have depth at secondary.
Maybe defensive line, I would say, would be, or a linebacker, possibly. But maybe just taking some cap away. But
there's defensive line. I mean, we have a Nunez Roches, we have a Will Golston, we have big pieces of this offensive line. But if you're talking about a plug and play type of a tight end that's going to give Tom Brady, if Tom's feeling like he doesn't have his Gronk security blanket, and we're talking to
Gesicki would be that guy.
Yeah, he's Gesicki. I saw him. He's a turn and make the catch. He's also a turn and knock somebody down kind of guy. He's pretty much a Gronk light. I like him.
So I think watch out for that. I think.
Or maybe we could. You guys looking for a kicker? Because we might have Ryan Suckup. That's a win-win.
We're good. We got a kicker.
Good.
We got Jason Sanders. We'll be all right.
You guys are good. But hey, I want to go down to Miami. And if it's not for a Miami University football game, the U, there's also something someone told me today. There's a show I got to watch. It's called The Real Warren Sapp, and it's about they did a special on him, and it's great. I think that cat, he had the problem out there in Arizona. He was supposed to pay a young lady for services rendered. Nothing to do with whether it was wrong or right. Just didn't pay the young lady for services rendered, and it kind of got blown up, and he lost his job at the NFL Network. My favorite Buccaneer of all time, just from the standpoint of how he always brung it, and he was a total dick. I'm not saying the guy he's not Derek Brooks, and he wasn't Leroy Selman, but this special came on. I'll share it on my social page so that everybody can watch it. It's supposed to be pretty good because anytime Warren Sapp opens his mouth, it's usually pretty good.
He's unfiltered.
Like I am tonight, brother. But hey, don't forget, like my YouTube page, follow it. And I'm going to be doing, the thing is, the stuff on my YouTube page is going to be crazy. And I'm not going to be, it's not going to be 3 a.m. and your phone's going to pop and it's going to go, and you're going to have me going, I'm not going to do some kind of psycho thing, like Kathy Bates in Misery, where I'm trying to break your ankles. But I got great content, good shows. I got plans to go live. I got great guests. It's going to go off the chizzy. So like my YouTube page, I'm not on Facebook anymore. Facebook's got too many restrictions. Mark Zuckerberg is trying to be too much of a dick. He's trying to tell me that a song that I own is copyrighted, and I'm trying to tell him that he looks like an idiot when he's riding that surfboard with the flag while he's going through the water. So I think we're just going to have a stalemate on that. But like my YouTube page and follow it so I can continue to build the content to bring it to you. Rock, I'm gonna let you get out of here. We've already been an hour, brother, and you made my night coming in here, and we didn't even scratch the surface.
No, not at all.
I hope the next time we do it, I want to go over to Ferg's. We'll bring my soundboard. We'll do the 2 shots so you and I can get nice and comfortable. We'll get the camera wide, and we'll do a real state of the state conversation. I'll get a Jacksonville Jaguar fan that can come in and talk a little trash, and we'll figure out which Florida team, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or Miami Dolphins, have the better trash talker.
Probably you right now. I gotta get my stats in.
Brother, I gotta get my stats down too, but tell everyone when they can find you.
Nowhere right now.
So what's your address?
You can find me on Cup of Ray as a guest until I figure out that I want to get going on this, and it's something I probably want to do.
You do.
So you can find me as a guest host on Cup of Ray here and there.
Cup of Ray on Tuesday, Hot Taco Tuesday, brother. I can't thank you enough, Rock, for coming in here. You know what? I'm going to get done right here. I'm tired. I'm finishing my last Circle Hooked Hazy IPA from Three Daughters Brewing. If you haven't had one of these, Three Daughters Brewing right down here in St. Pete, locking it down. I'm just saying their name. I had to say it one more time. I get a free 6-pack. That's Circle Hooked Hazy IPA, Three Daughters Brewing. That's my goal for the night. But no, yeah, we'll do this again because we'll do it in an outdoor setting. We'll do some fun, but we'll go down to Ferg's. We'll get live. We'll do the music. We'll have the microphones, and then we can also ask other people in the bar because we'll see some Dolphins fans and Bucs fans. And we'll get that major interaction, and we'll take this thing to a whole new level, brother. So thanks for joining me here on a Tuesday night for a little Cup of Ray.
Sounds good, sir. Have a good night.
I will. Hey, we kept it on. Hey, can you stay in the back room for a minute? I'll be right there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'll be right back, brother. So there you have it. A little Cup of Ray on a Tuesday night. Wasn't planning on that, but Deshaun Watson briefs were still supposed to come out today. They didn't. I think we said all along. I was getting so much grief from so many people that it's going to be a year. It's going to be a full year. He won't play football until 2023. And I've been saying all along, it's trending down. It's trending down. Just because Rock says 4 to 6, I still thought 8. It's not a year anymore. It's going to be something. I think that the judge is going to come in and say, well, a 4-game suspension, and the NFL is going to say, well, it's too much. It should be a 12-game suspension. I think it falls between 6 and 8 games. It really does. And again, that's because nothing's been proven. So whatever. We can talk about that another time. But also talking about the Miami Dolphins, and I think they're going to be fantastic this year in what is already shaping up to be a pretty hard AFC East division. I don't know if New England, I don't know if the Buffalo Bills or the heir apparent's automatic. I mean, Sean McDermott has them playing tough, but Miami defense with Waddle and with Tyreek Hill and with Tua pitching biscuits and Mostert and a running game. And I just think it's going to, and the Jets are going to be the Jets. Let me get somebody's comments. We had comments. Andrew Faubert says, Ray, Andrew, see you Friday night on North Sports Dynasty. He's going to have a great time in there. Alex Schomber, hey, Ray, sees the YouTube. Alex says Dolphins own the Pats. Yes, 100%. Alex Schomber says miracle in Miami. Yeah, that was a miracle in Miami. And Alex Schomber says Javon Holland from my Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. That's the other defensive end, 100%. Let me bring it back in here. It was Javon Holland, wasn't it?
That's the safety.
Oh, right. Okay. Get out of here. Anyway, you guys have a great evening. And please go to my YouTube. This is the journey around the world begins with but one step. And the one step I need you to take tonight is just go to my YouTube page and like it and follow it. I take that very seriously. If I go on live anytime and I don't got locked down, I mean, not this was just practice. No, this is good talking to my boy Rock. But if I don't have a lockdown guest, like I don't have, Tom Brady here for an interview, or I don't have just the best content, or I don't have breaking news, then it's probably going to be me naked from the side of the road. Because if I can't give you the best news, I'm going to give you the best laugh. Please like my YouTube page and follow it so I can start building that. So every time we go live, it's all for our group. And go to Bucs Report and also like it there too. Okay, guys and girls, I hope you have a great Tuesday evening. I'm going to exit stage left. And thanks for coming in and being a part of this. Got the comments, had a great time. Got so much more to cover and so much I didn't get a chance to get to tonight. But really, it was just about an open chat night. And you guys chatted a little bit. Thank you. By the way, Rays are up 3-2 in the ninth inning with 1 out. So, massholes, have a good evening. We'll see you soon on Bucs Report. And with that, the show